Okay, welcome to Exercise Month. I'm chatting with Melissa Ayres. Melissa, do you want to tell us a bit about what you do, and then we'll get on to exercise?
Hi, Emily. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk with you. Yeah, I'm Melissa Ayres. I'm a menopause coach, I'm a homeopath, and I'm a theta healing practitioner. So I combine all of my skills in supporting women in perimenopause and menopause using kind of deep emotional intuitive healing, supported with homeopathy herbs, all of my kind of wisdom and knowledge of natural medicine.
Awesome. So where does exercise or movement and stuff sort of come into the picture then?
Okay, so in perimenopause, which is where I am as well at the moment, for me, I'll talk personally about how I feel and what I recommend for women that I work with, is you've really got to get back in touch with your cycle. We have, I'm sure you know this, and I'm sure your lovely listeners and viewers will know this as well, but we have our cycle, we have our estrogen phase, and we have the progesterone phase as well. And in that estrogen phase, I would say it's fine to be very active and sporty and perhaps do more cardio, physical, energetic, high impact exercise. But in that the luteal, the progesterone phase, we really need to slow down. And that's not saying don't exercise, but that's saying, yoga, Pilates, much more low impact, low key exercise. And we have to really respect the body's cycles. I really find, because I've worked with many women over many years, I've been a homeopath for about 12 years now, so practicing. So I find that when the menstrual issues come up, PMT, period pain, all of these things, it's ignoring that cycle.
Yeah.
Very much we live in this society where it's 24/7, 365 days a year. We're kind of, even from school, it's like this, we're wired to be productive.
Yeah.
As women, we can't do that. And really in perimenopause and menopause, you have to respect the body. So that would be my advice, is honoring that. And when you actually have your menstrual bleed, really, we should really be resting up. It's very important. And if we were still living in tribes, going back hundreds of years, women would, this is where the term the red tent comes from, women would go off to bleed together and the men would hold the fort. It's really respecting that time of, we're releasing, not just a release of blood. Periods are a big emotional release for us as women as well, because we store a lot of emotions in our sacral chakra, which is seated in the pelvic bowl. So it's a really important time to release. And if you think about it as well, I know we count day one of our cycles as our first day of bleed. It's the start of a new cycle. So we need to be really honoring that and slowing down. And I know that's not always the easiest or most practical thing to do, but what I found sometimes is just even honoring and being mindful of that. Personally, I'm on about a 72, 73 day cycle at the moment. When I'm not actually having a physical bleed, I follow the moon phases. So that I'm still following that. I can have 2 weeks of, if I want to do park run or a body pump class or those things. But then in this luteal phase, it's, much more yoga, gentle dog walk. And it really just pays off with energy levels, with hormone balance. So the body and our cycles need to be connected with and respected.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting. And I wish you'd told me that. I wish I'd met you and you'd told me that 10 years ago, maybe. Because I started doing lots of triathlons in my mid-30s, and triathlon training is designed for men. And it assumes that every week you show up the same, that every week you can do, and it allows for a down week, but that's for muscle reparation rather than anything else.
Yeah.
But your down week, you're still doing quite a lot, but it's very much assumes that everybody can work on on the assumption that they just need that one low intensity week for their muscles, not for any other reason. And yeah, I wish with hindsight that I'd known to honor my cycle whilst training.
Yeah, because when we push ourselves as well, especially running, for example. It was really interesting. I was walking my dog yesterday. We have a college, St Mary's University, which is a sports university near here, and they train in the park. And there were these young men running, and there was a guy on the bike at the front, and my goodness, the speed they go past you. But there was a woman as well with them, and she was really trailing behind, and I could hear her breath, and she's pushing herself because there's that drive to keep up, isn't there? And what happens in the body when we do that kind of exercise and we really push ourselves is the cortisol levels. It's a stress on the body. Exercise like that, really, triathlons are just such a stress on the body. And when your cortisol levels are that high, your adrenals are that taxed and pushed, with no hope of balancing out other hormones, because the body is just literally in that stress mode, that fight or flight. Our cells don't, they don't directly interact with the outside environment. They respond to our thoughts and our perceptions and our feelings. So that kind of stress on the body's probably thinking, gosh, I'm in a life or death situation here. And actually it's not, it's just exercise. And I know there's that high afterwards of that rush, that adrenaline, but actually what that does, and repetitively, if we're doing that all the time, that hard kind of training as women, it's just not good for us.
No, and it's really interesting, isn't it, that the media, the whoever, the message is that exercise is good, and you must therefore do X amount of exercise, regardless. And somehow the subcurrent of that is, if you don't do however much exercise you're meant to do each day, then you're lazy or whatever. And there's a horrible message out there that if you actually are just honoring what your body needs, there's all those messages saying that you should be doing more.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what needs to change, Emily. I think it really needs to change. Do you remember those adverts? I don't know if they still have them. 80s and 90s for Tampax, with the lady in the white trousers, and she had her period and she's still on a trampoline with her children, or going
and then roller skating and all sorts.
And that is, like you say, this message, that's a wrong message. Really, we need to be in bed, relaxing on the sofa, just, it's only a few days out of the month. You don't have to be completely flat out, with your feet up, but just taking it easier in that time, it just pays dividends with health, hormonally, mentally. I mean, I really think PMT is the body kicking off and saying, come on, this is out of balance here. As women, we're naturally, not that men aren't, but we are more connected with nature. That there's a reason the moon cycle is 28 days.
Yeah.
And we really need to honor and respect that.
Yeah.
And not feel the pressure to perform.
And I think it's good, it's positive that the England women's football team, they were training to their cycles.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yes.
How wonderful. That's so lovely to hear.
It's wonderful to know that this is starting to drip feed down. And okay, that's at the moment at kind of semi-professional level, but it's there, it's happening. People, coaches are starting to acknowledge this. And there's a wonderful woman called Stacey Sims who, talks all about sort of training around your cycle and things. And it's starting to, the message is starting to get out there.
Yeah. That's what I love about yoga, actually. I've done yogas for so long now. But every class, most teachers will say, if you're on your moon cycle, take it easier. Or it's a practice yoga. Don't worry what anyone else is doing on the mat. It's what you feel is right for you today. And if you want to just lie in Shavasana or child's pose for the whole class, if that's what you need, then that's okay. And that's becoming more accepted now. There's not that, yoga doesn't have that competitive edge that a lot of other exercise and sports have. And that's a really good thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa.
You're welcome, Emily. Lovely talking to you.